Hey, do you ever heard about the term mulching? Do you ever wonder why people mulch their garden? Now, for the answer to these, stay tuned. Hello, I'm Nikal. Welcome to another YouTube video. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about mulching. Now, you may see over here, you have some grass. Over here is bare. So, the question is, what is mulching? Mulching is the covering of the soil to retain moisture. So we could simply say it is the act of covering the soil to retain moisture and to arrive at many more benefits. Now in this scenario right here, we have grass. I use grass to cover the soil. So if I should remove, you will see the soil below. And this is the mulch. You can use many different material to mulch. You can use whatever is available to you. I have grass, so in this case I am using grass. So you could use grass, you could use peanut trash, you could use rice hull, you could use plastic, you could use wood chip, just a variety of different material you could use to do your mulching material, as your mulching material rather. But as I said, you have to use what is available to you and what you can afford. All right. So we go through the definition for mulching. We said it is the covering of the soil to retain moisture. That is the main objective, to retain moisture. Now, there are some other benefits of mulching your garden. So my pan out here, I can show you. There are some other benefits of mulching. And one, most importantly, is to retain moisture in the soil. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Look at this hair over here. That is mulch. Look at the hair right here. So it is dry. This is bare. The soil is bare. This is exposed to all the elements, sun, the wind, everything that can drive out the moisture. But look over here. Let me just remove the mulch slightly, and you can see very moist. Some soil organisms right there. Very moist. Again, look at the difference. Because what happened in mulching is that when you cover the soil like this, as the water in the soil environment tries to evaporate, to come out of the soil, it hits the surface, the underneath surface of the mulch. It condenses and it goes right back into the soil. I like to call it the pot cover effect, where when you're cooking and if you lift the pot cover, you can see that water droplets that is under the pot cover. It is the same principle here. Evaporation and condensation that causes the water to retain in the soil. So it is absolutely very, very important for you to mulch, especially if you live in an area that is hot, such as where we are in the Caribbean. You need to mulch. Mulching can retain approximately 70% of water in the soil that would have otherwise lost to evaporation. So you see where I'm talking about. So that's one benefit to the soil, to retain moisture. Two, mulching helps to slow down the growth of weeds. Now, if you should look, you don't see any weeds at all. No weeds at all. No weeds at all. But if you look out here, you'll see weeds. And the reason why you're not going to have weeds growing here is because weeds, like any other plant, needs light. So because you're blocking the surface here, even if you have seeds, weed seeds that is under here, they're going to be very difficult to grow. Even if they germinate, as soon as they germinate, they will die because the mulch actually blocks off the sunlight. So that's one other one. That's one other benefit of mulching. It slows down the rate of weed. And we all know that weeding is a big deal because you have to remove the weeds because the weeds are competing for your nutrients with your plants. So that's another benefit of mulching. Thirdly, mulching helps to reduce soil erosion. So let me carry out again. When the rain fall and the rain hit this hard surface right here, because this is bare, when the rain hit the surface or the water hit the surface, it will splash. It will cause the soil particles to splash, right, and move, dislodge, go elsewhere. And then when that water starts to run over the surface, now it starts to take away the soil particles. So that is erosion. The soil erosion is the removal of particles from one place to the next or to another. All right. But when you mulch like over here, when the raindrops or the water particles, even when you water in your garden, when it hits the surface, it will just break up, fragmented, and slowly trickle down into the soil environment, right? So it won't have that dangerous impact, that erosion impact as it has on the soil if it was bare. So that's 3 benefits. Another benefit of mulching is that it keeps the soil environment cool. It retains a good temperature for the plant roots, because you know that the plant roots have to operate in a particular temperature so that the soil does not becomes too hot. So it cools down the soil environment. All right. So that's 4 benefits you have there, right there now. Another benefit or advantage of mulching, especially organic mulch, is that as the organic mulch decompose, because since this came from a source that was once living, it is natural, it will decompose. As it decomposes, it will slowly release nutrients back into the soil environment. And this one I like, because this is what actually one way of recycling nutrients into the soil, right? So instead of you just cut your grass and throw it away with all these nutrients that the soil needs, you can actually put it back to the soil. You can actually compost it, and that is one way of recycling nutrients. So that's one of the advantage or benefit that I really like about mulching, especially organic mulch. You won't get this with the plastic mulch, but you will get this with the organic mulch. It replenishes soil with nutrients, and it also attracts those decomposers, those microorganisms and macroorganisms that are important in the soil biology and the soil chemistry, right, to actually help the soil and help the soil to become more fertile. So that I like that one. Lastly is the aesthetic factor. Look at the screen right now. Mulching is very, very beautiful, and this is, I think, the most important reason for some people why they mulch, because of the aesthetic value that it has. It is absolutely beautiful, and that is why a lot of people mulch. Now, you may be wondering, is there any disadvantage with mulching? Yes, there are some disadvantages, right? There are a few disadvantages. One is that because you cover the soil environment like this, it tends to harbor insects. And not only good insect, but it also attracts the insect pests as well. So they tend to hide under the mulch and creep out in the night, such as the snail and the slug. They will have a safe place now to go and hide away to damage your plant. So that is one disadvantage of mulching. Another disadvantage of mulching is that it can be expensive and time consuming to apply. All right. So those are 2 disadvantages of mulching. All right. So it is very, very important for you to mulch your plants, because as you can see, the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages. Now, what are different types of mulch available? You have 2 different broad categories. You have organic, which is anything comes from plants. This is plant-based mulch, such as grass and peanut trash and all of those. And you also have synthetic mulch, which is plastic mulch. All right, the plastic mulch, it is breathable plastic, so it allows the soil and the plant roots to breathe same way, because oxygen, air is able to diffuse across the mulch. So that's the plastic mulch. One of the disadvantages of obtaining the plastic mulch is that it is costly, but once you put it down, it will stay there for a very long period of time. And a question that a lot of people may ask is, what time of year I should mulch? Now, if you live in a pretty dry area, you can mulch year round. However, if you live in an area, say for example Portland, where you have a lot of rainfall, then it is if you live in an area where, say for example Portland, Jamaica, where you have a lot of rainfall, then you would have to look into mulching in the dry season and not in the rainy season, because you don't want to cover the soil when it is raining, because you're going to have too much moisture build up in the soil, and too much moisture can be very detrimental to the plants. All right, the plants can expose to things like root rot and limited oxygen supply in the soil, and that is a bad thing for the soil. So you'll have to be careful how you mulch. It depends on where you live. If you live in a temperate area, if you live in a hot area, like say for example St. Elizabeth, then you can mulch year round, because in that parish, in those parishes, Clarendon, St. Catherine, those parishes really experience a lot of dry conditions. All right, and it depends on the soil type that you have as well. If it is clay based soil, you have to be careful how you mulch, because clay tends to hold a lot of water. If it's sandy based soil, then you can go ahead and mulch more frequently, because sandy soil tends to lose water rapidly. So it depends. You have to know the particular soil that you have and where you live and so forth, the temperature, you know, the humidity, all of that plays a role. Even wind, because wind tends to drive out a lot of moisture out of the soil, right? Where I live, it's windy, and it is not the sun that is causing the soil to be dry, but it's the wind. You know, it's the same effect. If you have a wet clothes or anything and you put it in front of the fan, it will just dry. All right, it's the same effect. Another question that some people may ask is, can I mulch my plants if they are in pots? Yes. Let's look at this tomato. It's in a pot, and I have gone ahead and mulch it in the pot, right? Because it tends to lose water out of the soil in the pot, same way as it was, or as it would in the ground. So you have to mulch. And this is even worse because you have a limited supply of soil in this confined space. So it is even worse. You can use the grass, you can use the peanut trash, you can use gravel, right? And gravel would do a very good embellishment. Serve as a very good embellishment. It will look good, right? So it will have an aesthetic value, and also another value of keeping moisture in the soil. So yes, you can mulch in pots, as I show you with these tomatoes that I have here in the pot. All right. So as I demonstrated to you that it is very good to mulch your crops, because it actually keeps, again, look at here, look at this, look at that, very cool. You can see the moisture there in the soil. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. If you have any question about mulching and about any other garden ideas, any other garden question, ask it in the comment section. For Home and Garden Fix and Tricks, I'm Nike. Peace.